Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I will also switch to English, although we had some discussion whether I should do my presentation in Bulgarian, but anyway, it's an international conference, and I think that the added value of this is to communicate all the issues also with Bulgaria. So, actually, the issues that have just been discussed, they refer to regulation, they refer to how the new world will react to the new realms, to new things that appear in this world. So that's what I will speak about. My background is actually, I'm a lawyer, but I'm from the good lawyers. I deal with information technologies. So my specific topic is law of the information and communication technologies and telecommunications. In other words, all problems that stem out of the implementation of the new technologies and how the law should regulate, how the world should react, so that there should be an order, protection of people's rights and interests. So that's what I will speak. Of course, most of the issues I will try to look through the prism of the e-education. But anyway, I will try to give some some thoughts about regulation mechanisms, specifically for the purposes of the education. So, as all will see, especially the last discussion that we just had, it was focused on really new concept, open access. This concept also very much reminds me a theory that was not much time ago, was promoted by a very prominent Harvard professor of law. His name is sorry, I'm getting older. Lawrence Lessig, Professor Lessig, with whom I had long discussions whenever we had a chance to meet. He was even once he was also a guest in Bulgaria. So he has a theory of the even more, let's say, advanced revolutionary theory of open access, where every single since practically all of literature, of art, digitalized that are subject to copyright, backgrounds, schemes, novels, photos, everything, scientific works, should be open. It is on the internet and you decide to put it on the internet. You should do this in with your understanding that you cannot stop anymore the distribution of this electronic content. In other words, you give your work to the world for free, but also you get from the world everything, whatever else is produced by other authors. People react because they say, well, this is my copyright. I want my copyrights protected. I decide when he can read it, when he can use it, how he can use, etc., etc. But he says, yes, you're right, but this refers to the paper world. Now we have another world. This is the digital world. This is the world of internet. So, although this is a very, let's say, very stressing theory, still not well. This theory of a concept of this, called Creative Commons, public use words, working that I personally think both means disturbance in the world. But let's face the world, the area of education. Let's see notes, notepad, or my voice is by convincing. We have a mobile phone. This question, just stone. So there was a special, skills when you, through the stones, with a special instruments, you produce the document. And the documents was considered something very stable. Very stable. Huh? Even there was a special, profession, porter of documents. They were very nice, strong men to port documents. This was now in Bulgaria they are known as kamali. But at that time they were called porters of documents. And this was a very prestigious profession. And when the paper appeared in the world, there were so many people against this. Enemies. What? Paper? Are you crazy? Look at this stable document. Wind is going, rain is running, water is flowing, fire nothing can affect this document. It's so stable, so strong. And paper, are you crazy? You just flush some water, the document is gone. You put some fire, the document is gone. So what are you speaking about? What are you talking about? Paper. It's crazy. It's madness. But still, the paper is now in our hands, in our minds, in our way all the system works, based on documents, based on papers. So this is what we hold. And in fact, why it has become so much usable instrument? Because in fact, it is not that weak. It's not that weak. You can easily bind, you can easily send, it can be easily delivered to the other part of the world. Even there, the whole state works. And there are also institutions, there are also companies that deliver paper, and it's a huge business. Still nowadays it's a huge business. Now we face the time when the new technologies arrived, and we're practically speaking about electronic content, we're speaking about electronic documents. So we move to the electronic world, and suddenly all people that love the paper said, what? Are you crazy? Look how stable the paper is. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can hold it, you can keep it, you can archive it. So normal. And what are the electronic world? Some kind of digital recalls. You can delete it so easily. But consider what has happened in the world. I can send my will to Professor Nikolov. Wherever he is in the world, and it will reach him within a couple of seconds. I would say 1 second. So this and the document with the electronic content can be easily copied. Once you copy it, in fact, you create new original. You create new original. You cannot distinguish between the two copies because they are all originals. It can be easily stored. You can save millions of billions of data, of documents in a flash card. So practically the world moves to these new realms. So when we speak about paper world to the cyber world, we should take into consideration that this has already happened. Whether we are ready to adapt, whether the education system is ready to adapt to this new realm is something else, is a question that I would like to give some words about. You know, I read two very interesting analyses made by two prominent professors. One is Nick Pope in one of the leading Queen Mary's University in London. The other one is Georgi Dimitrov, who was my supervisor of my PhD work in Belgium. he also, upon assignment of the European Commission, they made a forecast. What will happen to the electronic documents, electronic versus paper? So both of them, after analyzing the trends in the usage of electronic form of communication, they reached a forecast that up to 2030, just in 15 years or so, the ratio, the usage of paper documents, the rate of usage of paper documents towards electronic documents will be only 2%. So everything goes digital. So now let's look at our wonderful education system that we have. The education system is aimed at delivering knowledge from one people to another people. To bring this knowledge from people at school to students at the university. So after delivering this knowledge, these people can help the society to grow, to develop, so the countries, the states to work. And the more knowledge is produced, the more society is developing. Wonderful. But now, what happens with the paper versus electronic? Still, even in our mind, I will give you some just problems that the education system should work out. For example, let's take as an example the scientific content. People, and what the previous speaker talked about. Lots of knowledge is produced within projects. Lots of knowledge is produced by researchers. For example, me as an associated professor, I create some researches, I produce some papers, I produce some books, I produce some programs, teaching programs for my students, manuals. But still, if I'm about to develop as a researcher, as an academic researcher, in the academic career, I should prove that the content, what I have produced, is published in a scientific journal, which still in our minds means paper. It doesn't mean electronic. And to be honest, very few universities and very few institutions, even in Bulgaria, recognize a scientific publication published as such in an electronic journal. Still, they want to see something serious, huh? Paper. Well, of course, we should adapt, we should evolve in this respect. What in our universities, not only universities, at schools, when we're speaking about electronic education, we aim at using of information technologies for the purposes of this process of delivering knowledge. So what are the legal value of all things that are delivering the knowledge? And testing, examining, for example, like tests, examinations, colloquia, all kind of instruments to test the level of acquiring of the knowledge from the people who learn, and whether it has some value, whether it is recognized by the state as a legal. Still there are lots of vagueness. There are lots of unclear situation about the legal regime of this way of communication, and that's why still, for example, most of the exams are made like this. Still, they are created protocols in paper. Still, they are signed in writing, not just in electronic form. Well, in many universities, in many academic institutions, this, of course, has changed. But still, when we speak about Bulgaria, I think that we have a long way to walk in this respect. Still, many things are not yet well resolved when speaking about identification, authenticity. For example, if there is a student whom we are willing to test, to make an examination, and he's at his home, but he's about to test his abilities, his knowledge, and how we can be sure whether he's the one that stands somewhere in the darkness of the digital world, of it's not his dog, or someone else who pretends to be the student. How we can be sure that the knowledge that he is delivering is not altered from the moment of its creation till the moment of its verification. There are still things that in the area of electronic education remain quite unclear. There is no common policy. And this is not only Bulgaria, I speak about other countries. What about protection of data that is collected? We still have lots of laws, but when looking through the prism of electronic education and the data that is collected through this flow of information, still things have to be regulated because the knowledge that is provided through the electronic education has its own value and it should be protected in a more stable way, more stronger way than the normal personal data protection. It should be sometimes protected. Why not as a trade secret? Same refers to secrets. For example, in many universities, in many places, lots of content is produced and it is a know-how, it is a knowledge, it has its own, the creators have their own rights. Same refers to the copyrights of what I spoke. Lots of knowledge is produced and is delivered in electronic form, but as all can see, the electronic content is still is protected in a way. Even the legislation, I can share this with you, it is created to protect the copyrighted world in a paper-based world. It is not adapted to protect the rights in a digital world. I will give you just one example. How much time do I have? More than that?
Yeah.
Okay, I will be very brief. I will give you just one example to see how in the digital world, how things evolve. And speaking about the electronic education and the content that is created in the course of the electronic education, how we should think about how to protect it in a different way, even creating different approaches. For example, if we take the copyrighted works, you all will agree with me that practically all pieces of copyrighted work can be digitalized. I already said this. Movies, now everyone can go into a torrent site and download the movie. Or music. You have music in your mobile phone, you plug your headset and you listen to music. Is that legal or not legal? But we all do this, huh? Is that legal? So, we all can see one nice picture from the internet, photo. Said, oh, what kind of photo? And I share it in Facebook. But are you allowed to share other person's copyrighted work? No one thinks about it. No one thinks about it. And so forth. Electronic books, etc. So, to adapt to this new reality and to create some kind of protection of the copyright holders, in many countries has been created an instrument whereby the payment for using of the copyrighted work is not affected by the end user. For example, if I will be watching the movie I'm not paying to the producing company, but I'm paying to the one that gives me the tool to reproduce this music or video. The one who gives me the television, the one who provides me the computer, the one who gives me the mobile phone, who imports or who produces. So 2% of the price that I pay should go in a special fund, where all copyright holders have a share, take part for repaying of the copyrighted works. This mechanism works in many countries, so practically I'm not paying, it's free. It's free to watch video in my home. It's free to listen music in my home for personal use, for non-commercial purposes. It is even now regulated by the Bulgarian law. Of course, this usage shall not be accompanied by taking over, by hacking given technologies made for protection of hardware, technological protection of the copyrighted works. Of course, we cannot do that. But still, even in Bulgaria, this formula exists. And in many countries, yearly, they're collected between, for example, in Germany, are collected between €500 million, which is distributed among the producers of music, the authors of music, the producers of movies, etc. This works in Germany, in Estonia, in Italy, in many countries. Even we have such a regime introduced in our law, but it is not applied for many different reasons. I'm giving it just as an example how things switch, how things change, new schemes, new methods are looked into to introduce to deliver and to protect the right of the holders to receive their remunerations for the copyrighted works. So in this respect, we should also think about the education system. For example, I, as a creator of content, for example, of a book, now I look, my publisher wants this book published, but people don't want to use this paperwork. They just don't want. My students in the university, they teach computer sciences. They said, please, give me the content in electronic form. We live in the 21st century. I just want to read it in electronic form. And my publisher says, no, I don't want to make it available electronically, because otherwise I cannot sell any copy of my paper-based document. So practically, I think that it is a time to consider, even for the purposes of, for the education purposes, for the purposes of education system, to be elaborated special funds to repay or to motivate researchers, academic researchers, to motivate them to create works and not to depend on publishers, not to depend on other paper, let's say old paper mechanisms that now work nowadays. So they should be repaid their work, but based on different instruments. For example, funding by scientific funds, by university funds, by state. So there lots have to be done in changing this system. There are so many things that I have to say, that I want to say, which require adaptation of our education system to these new realms, starting from legislative amendments, starting from adaptation of internal rules at schools, at the universities, starting from what I said about alternative funding, from motivation of academic researchers, adaptation of the copyright protection on the different levels, especially on the state level. Of course, as all the academic policies should evolve. So in other words, to conclude, we should have our new glasses to look into the world, to look into the education systems, and of course, I mean, I will not agree with the gentleman who spoke before that no regulation is needed. On the contrary, regulation is needed in order to have order in the chaos. Otherwise, everything will be chaos. Thank you very much for this attention.
Okay, thank you very much to George. What I understood that all of us are kind of criminals using the legal way. I'm kidding, of course. When you send pictures, we don't have. Anyway, that's a matter of adopting to the new rules. And I always say that our educational system is current, it's still based on paper. All the textbook contains all the knowledge, but that's not true. And the university plays a logistic role to bring people together at the same time at the same place. Maybe this building could be used only for conferences like that and to meet people. But anyway, that's George proved again that he's for the better side of the lawyers. Yeah, I agree. I know him. I was in his jury in Leuven when he defended, and after that he joined our team at the department. So thank you very much. Questions? I know that there will be questions related to this topic. He's involved in majority of the laws related to IT in Bulgaria. Covering 60–70% of the laws you are involved. So he's quite eminent expert. And maybe the topic of legal issues might be added to the list of the topics we might discuss in the future, even globally. I mean, that's important. So, questions? One or two questions to George? Yeah? Okay.
You know about music author and film author in industry in Bulgaria. So I think about the shares. If you speak about this QED fund that is for right for the authors, maybe I don't know, we need an organization who will do like music author. I don't know.
It's a very good question. I would like to rephrase. We speak about this model whereby the money for using of copyrights is not distributed for the using of direct use of the copyright. You give me the copyright work, I pay you, but rather through the one who delivers the media and the tool to look and to watch these copyrighted works and to listen to this copyrighted work. So practically, this is kind of pseudo tax. But this works in many countries, and the gentleman is absolutely right. There should be an organization who should collect this money and to distribute in a very particular methodology. And this methodology and creation of this organization, who should distribute among other organizations for protection of copyright holders like music author, film author, etc., etc. Based on a very specific methodology, also regulated by the law. Unfortunately, in Bulgaria, this rule is available from 2003 in our law. So this organization should have been created, established a long time ago, 10 years ago. The money that was supposed to be collected for the copyright holders for this present moment amounts to nearly 1 billion level. You know how much money have been collected so far? Zero. And you know why? Because this organization, like music author, film author, etc., they cannot sit around the table and to create this organization for 10 years, for 11 years. So they're losing money every single day. Why it doesn't happen, I cannot tell you, but they just cannot find the formula who will lead the team. Huh? So, the instrument is provided by the state a long time ago, it is regulated by the state a long time ago, it is not used because there is no initiative on behalf of these organizations. This in Bulgaria, in other countries it works perfectly fine. So yes, you're right, there should be such organization, but there is no.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. One more question, just, yeah.
It is not questions, just I would like to make some correlations about intellectual property content in LIS education curricula. I'm a head of scientific project Copyright Policy in libraries and other cultural institutions. We make an international research survey, and the comparative results from 4 countries are done. In the survey participate Bulgaria, Turkey, Croatia and France. Last week in the 2nd European Conference of Information Literacy, we report the comparative results, and I'd like to share with you one of the results. On the questions about the importance to be involved in this curricula, education, in higher education level, the content about intellectual property and copyright, 97% of 622 respondents from these 4 countries say yes, this is absolutely important issue, and the most appropriate level to be involved is the undergraduate level, and also to be explored in master programs and PhD. Just like to make a connection.
Okay, thank you, George. It's available during the coffee break.